everybody. Welcome back to Guidebook Greenroom. Happy Friday, Nathan. How are you doing this week?
I'm good. I'm not too bad, thank you. Yeah, no complaints my side. How about you? How's all things product and guidebook and yourself this week?
Things are going great on the product side of house. I'm really excited for all the things that we have in the works. I don't have any product updates for anybody today, but we are working on something really cool. So that's exciting. It's always exciting to like see. Every now and then, the engineers will do a demo, like an internal demo, and show us progress, what's been done, what hasn't been done, and we can like ask questions and poke at it. And that's just like my favorite part about how we do sprints. Um,
Maybe I should keep
but
asking that question, and one day I'm going to get like a surprise product
oh
announcement,
yeah,
and you'll just be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, here it is."
yeah, this is launching. This is live. Well, that's not what we're doing in Green Room today. Today, I wanted to pick your brain as an events person and chat about like the why behind events, right? Why do they matter? How Guidebook shows up in the event space. What does our strategy look like behind the curtain? Let's start with that first one. Why do we believe in events so much?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, I think the first point is like events work. I wasn't at Guidebook 14 years ago, but I know it was it what was the initial name?
I think it was, yeah, conventionist, something
Conventionist,
like
right?
that,
But
which is a cool name.
yeah, it was a cool name and for a cool purpose with a really niche audience. And it was found, it was born out of a need that events had, and it was about bringing people together and supporting that. And I think that's a cool origin story that didn't just start, with a I want to target conferences and trade shows or whatever, right? It just started with this one focus and bringing a solution to them. And I think like in a world that's more digital than ever, there's something irreplaceable about human connection. Yeah, I always think to the first events I went to in my professional life and just the energy and the passion and like the excitement around in-person connection, the serendipity of it, the connections you make in hallway conversations. And I think just events, they bring people together in a way that really no other channel can. And for Guidebook, which is all about powering better experiences. It's not just belief, right? It's very much at the core of who we are.
Yeah, I'm thinking about college basketball right now because the NCAA tournament just wrapped up. We will not talk about who won or lost in that tournament. But there's a parallel there, right? Like what I love about events, and of course, sporting events are a type of event, but bringing that concept of community, like team identity, community membership, just the hype around being there. And then, of course, if you get an opportunity to like interact with key figures at those kinds of events, that takes it to the next level. But thinking about all the like pictures people share and like reliving moments from the tournament. If you get a chance to be an event planner or you get to attend an event in a professional capacity, like it's the same kind of energy, right? It's the same kind of production. It's the same kind of goal of bringing people together. You're wearing matching t-shirts or you have matching tote bags, like whatever it is. And it truly is just like this energizing experience that you carry with you for months, or you really look forward to the next big game you're going to or the next conference. I think I am going to one in September, and I'm already like trying to plan of like what's the weather going to be like? What should I like bring with me? Like I've got my packing list started months in advance. Um,
Yeah, it's fun to be thinking ahead in that way, right? It's exciting.
yeah, something to look forward to because you know that not only are you going to bring all of your knowledge, expertise, and like yourself to the table, but you're going to get so much out of it from all those different people and experiences overall that you get to have at the event. So, um, I do want to revisit. We were talking last week about some of the challenges that the events industry is facing right now, and also just challenges people are facing in their daily lives, professionally and personally. Um, and I think it's important that we embrace events and show confidence in the industry through those good times, but also through kind of times of friction or turmoil. And Guidebook never stops like going to events. Like we as guidebookers, our sales support and marketing folks, especially, we love to go to events. And going back to our co-founders, like the company started because some people attending an event were like, hey, what can we do better? How can we improve this experience? So how do we choose which events we attend now as the company has matured?
Yeah, I mean, so we attend different events for different reasons. Some of that's based on audience, right? We serve multiple different audiences as a product, as a company. So we want to be present in all of those spaces that they exist. We also really just think about like why we are going to events. For a long time, and even now today, I think events, when you look at an event as a sponsor or someone attending, trying to look at it from a sort of B2B standpoint, like everyone's just been so hooked up on like leads. If you work in event marketing, everyone's like, how many leads did you get or what's your lead target? And of course, that's really important, because it's a way to demonstrate some ROI, but it's really not the whole picture. And I think that people need to look at this a lot more holistically. Yeah, when we think about it, a guidebook, so what can we learn? Is this a space that we can learn and share with the industry? And I think that's a really big one for us. We want to understand what's top of people's minds and what challenges that they're facing. Also, just like the kind of goals that they're setting and what they want to achieve as businesses or individuals. And I think having the time to listen at events to do that is arguably, you could argue, more important than how many leads you get. And then second is like, can we add value? Events, whether you're a sponsor, a speaker, a participant, there's a give and take relationship with it. So like whether that's on a stage or at a booth or even just through conversations, there's there has to be something we believe we can bring to the event. And it can't just be about extraction. And then the third is audience, is where we build relationships, but it's not about a pitch, right? As I said, we want to connect, we want to listen, we want to grow. And that can be for potential clients and existing customers, but it also can just be for people who are never going to buy your product. Because, I went to a few events last year and I had some great conversations with other suppliers or just people who were at the event for really different reasons to my own, right? But in that moment, when no one's got an agenda or an objective, you learn a lot because you're both talking about whether it's an industry or a topic or a challenge in a really different way because of your set of your goals or the challenges that you face. And I think so for Guidebook, like that's the playbook. It's, can we learn? Can we add value? And can we connect with the right people?
That reminds me of something somebody said in a client interview, which is that like our salespeople are just normal people, right? Do you remember that comment? It was
Oh, yeah.
like, we're not sure, we're hungry. We have a sales team that's full of great, like go-getter, ambitious people, but ultimately, like we are human beings. And I also enjoy those conversations that happen outside of the sales cycle or kind of with no strings attached. And it really comes down to that just connection piece. Um,
Mm.
it's hard to First of all, there are multiple different kind of priorities you mentioned there that are like reasons why Guidebook might go to events. Uh, how do you set goals, right? How do you measure the success of connections, or like what are the goals that you typically set for events?
Yeah, and this is such a good question because I think this is why people get so hung up on leads because it's the easiest thing to track, right? It's a case of how many business cards or scans or whatever did you collect, and you can go back and if you've got a nice big shiny number, everyone seems to be happy. But actually, there's so much more to an event that is really difficult to track, especially if you're a smaller company. And it depends on the event as well. You know, sometimes we sponsor, sometimes we speak, and sometimes we partner with events to essentially like they use our product and we can work with them in some way, whether that's shared content generation or all of that good stuff. Like there's a lot of reasons why we'll kind of speak with different events and think of best ways. And it's not always a monetary exchange.
Mhm.
And we're partnering with a lot of events right now, more than we ever have. So it's something that we see active benefits from. And that kind of speaks to one of the the kind of goals that we set, which is really like a brand visibility piece. Um, and it's really difficult, right, to measure the impact of brand from an event. But I mean, you can do that in different ways. You can look at your current clients and how many meetings that you might book and conversations you can create. It's also, you can measure search traffic and web direct after event. Like there's ways you can do it, but it's difficult and it's not kind of clear cut. But we do think about brand a lot. I remember when I joined Guidebook, one of the conversations I had was that, Guidebook had been going to less and less events and that, kind of being back out there was really important and being known. There's something really powerful. When I was at an event called IBTM last year in Barcelona, someone just came up to me and said, "Oh, it's really great to see Guidebook still going. I've not seen them around for a while." And like it wasn't a sales conversation or anything like that. It was just a case of like, "Oh, right, Guidebook's still going." That's now like in their head, and they remember the brand, and they wanted to see the changes to the product in the last kind of 7 years, which has been a lot, which was great. But yeah, so I think that's one. I do think strategic partnerships is another, like not just going to places to sell, but also, other people you can work with, from a technology standpoint, from an audience standpoint, content, etc. And then, sure, like leads is a goal. We do measure it, and conversations are important. But it's not just about grabbing the most amount of leads. And I think that again is something that I would say to anyone: don't just judge an event on how many leads you get, right? And also don't judge the success of those leads over like a 6 week follow-up campaign. 5% of people probably attend events ready to buy, or in sort of the need to buy. Most people are just trying to get an understanding of the technology landscape, or kind of all of that good stuff. So you kind of need to have like a 12-month plan for event leads. So yeah, that's the kind of core things that go through my head.
I love that you're giving us some expert top tips. So I hope that planners are writing this down. Um, Something else that you kind of mentioned was brand visibility and how you measure it. And again, I'm bringing all this to like my personal perspective. Uh, but that's true for the individual as well, right? Like if you keep showing up in your communities at whatever events, whatever those may be for you, people are going to start recognizing you or seeing your name and being like, "Oh, like you're back again this year. Amazing. Like what have you been up to?" Or like whether maybe it's spring and fall, like how was your summer? Um,
Mm.
and I think just going back to that human element, right? Like Guidebook is made of people, and if we keep showing up, people will remember us too. Like not just the logo, but also like how we represent the brand and what we care about. And sure, like a guidebook is part of this competitive landscape, but like what are the topics or challenges that interest us? That what are the solutions that we're trying to build, and like who are we trying to serve? It's a very human thing. And again, just looking at your lead numbers is so different than evaluating the depth of a conversation you had, or evaluating sentiment is very different and harder to do than just how many Google form fills you got
Yeah.
for day one versus day two. Um, there is something that's kind of in the back of my head as well about why we keep investing in events, why we've reinvested more heavily. There are quite a few costs associated with that. And in our contemporary context, budgets are tight. People are being very critical with their spend. So, why are events worth it?
Yeah, I mean, there's many reasons. I think your point on budgets is so true. I read just this morning that I think the average event cost has gone up by 38%, which
Yeah.
is a is a lot of money, especially those events that are maybe operating on tight margins. So that, I guess the first thing is, we are a product that serves the event industry, so we have to support it. You can't just extract from an industry. Going to these events and supporting events and being a part of them, that really matters. And I think if you're in a position to be able to invest in events, and especially with more kind of turmoil on the way, as we
Mhm.
spoke about last week, I think that's a good thing to do. And like when things get tough, connection matters more than ever. Relationships matter more than ever, and building trust also will matter a lot more than ever going forward. So I think while it's tempting to pull back, we've seen firsthand that real progress, and progress that lasts genuinely happens when people come together. And it doesn't just happen in that moment, but it happens over a longer period of time. And I think that's super important. And look, we're remote, we live in an online world, and events let us log off and tune in to what's going on. They are more and more becoming a chance to come up for air. They're a space where we can learn together. I do think in person sparks more ideas, and that's super exciting. And yeah, those in-person relationships that you connect with, if you connect with someone for 5 minutes at an event in person over a coffee, that's going to go so much further than a LinkedIn message, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think just all of the components of the event, the shared learning, side conversations, meals, eating together, like if you go to an event with your team and you're in a new city, if you're catching up with customers face to face, there's like so much in events that matter. There's so much good that comes out of them. And I know maybe not everyone feels like this, especially event planners, but those attending events, like they can recharge us, right? They can ground us. They can give us a sense of purpose when we go back to whatever it is that we're doing the next week in our jobs or in our life. And I think they just remind us that like human to human connection and collaboration is the most important thing there is. So yeah, the landscape shifting. Yeah, I hear a lot and read a lot from event professionals, event leaders, influencers in the space. And I am seeing more now that yes, what's coming is challenging, but it's not COVID, right? COVID stopped
Mhm.
in-person connection. This is going to make it difficult. It's going to change. It's unfortunately going to be too difficult for some events, some companies. But this stuff isn't the benefits of events can't be replaced. That's
Mhm.
why they're so good.
I don't have any wrap up or follow up to that. I feel like that was a good mic drop moment of what today is all about. Yeah, whatever you're going through, whatever's happening on the horizon in the world around us, connect with folks, show up for those in-person events, meet a coworker, a friend for coffee. You might schedule a 1 hour lunch, then hang out for 3 hours by accident, like we did last Friday with one of my sales coworkers. But
These things
that's what it's all
happen.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's worth it. It's needed. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing again some specific tips, some actionable items that people can do about kind of their strategy, and also just what's going on in the world and how does it affect the events industry. Everyone's talking about it. We'll keep talking about it. It's worth it to revisit how to make the most of the experiences and ensure that folks are um, have the space to connect in addition to your content, right? Make sure there's room for those happenstance connections in the hallway or
Yeah, absolutely.
bumping into each other at the coffee line, whatever it may be. So yeah, thanks, Nathan. I appreciate it.
Good to see you as always, and we'll catch everyone next week.
Yeah, see you then. Have a good one.
Bye.